Yes, graduates, welcome to Hard Talk Podcast with HTK. Fasten your seatbelts. Hey, users and subscribers, welcome back to another episode of Hard Talk with HTK. We are going to update you now about this whole situation with the grandmother. So I'm sure by now you have seen that the aunt came out with some comments with regards to their suspicion against the grandmother who was present on the day that Adriana went missing. The whole thing reeks of just corruption. There's no other way to put it. And it's really a shame that we are now at that point where family members have turned against themselves and are now having to point to each other as persons of interest in this case. I am taken aback that this has come from a family member, but I am not surprised. We have seen the reaction of the grandmother, and many analyzed and said, listen, she's not even crying. She seems to be, without any emotions, and there's something not quite right with the grandmother. Now, I've got some key questions that I need to ask. First of all, why is it that this accusation has resulted in a silence from the father? This is Sir Brian's mother, and it is disturbing that his mother is being accused of something so horrendous, but it's equally disturbing to see that Sir Brian has not stepped out to either protect or defend his mother, which implies to me that Sir Brian is in agreement that there is a suspicion that is worthy in this case towards his mother. And if that is the case, what is the family history between the mother and this family? Now, based on the interviews and the appearances of Angie and the things that have been said on various lives, it sounds as though there has been a real conflict within that family with regards to race. That's right. That there has been a preference and favoritism for certain grandchildren as opposed to Adriana. And if this is the case, why is it that Sir Brian and the mother facilitated that grandmother taking Adriana to the pool? It just makes me ask all kinds of questions, really, because if I know for a fact that this grandmother doesn't like my child, treats my child differently, she's the last person that would have custody of my child for any kind of, activities. I would never trust her to supervise my child at all, knowing that my child is not going to be treated equally. So I do think it's a very dangerous rabbit hole to go down. But in light of the suspicious nature of this case, it is very important that everyone is interrogated and questioned. I would like you to listen to this clip from Haley, who has resurfaced on the case. And I'm glad that she's done that because she has got a very astute eye for detail. And so far, many of the things that Haley has said has actually happened or has actually come to the fore. We've seen it manifest via discussions that this was the case. Let's just take a listen to what Haley has to say. And then we will go into the video with regards to the grandmother.
Now, let me tell you some stuff about the Adriana first autopsy that was done in Guyana by 3 separate pathologists. They have completed an autopsy report. It's 12 pages long, including signatures. And the autopsy is full of lies. Now, some of them we can actually factually prove, such as there is a voice note of Dr. Gary Collins saying that he himself pulled some cotton wool out of the upper part of Adriana's nasal passage. Yet in the autopsy, he's signing to say there was only foam in her nasal cavity. So you have just committed perjury because you've lied in a legal document. You've also said all 3 doctors signed this legal report, this autopsy, that state several times that they had cut open the throat, they had looked at the hyoid bone, they had done a full neck examination front and back. Now, Dr. Terry came out and told us, and I fully trust this woman, she told us that nobody had ever cut open the neck before, and she was the first person to peel back the layers of the neck and look at the hyoid bone. So how have you signed an autopsy report and gone into great detail about a neck examination that you had done that never happened? Let me show you their signatures on this autopsy report. There we go. So we have 1, 2, 3 signatures by all pathologists that state Adriana only died due to drowning, and that they had fully checked that there was no signs of strangulation and done full neck examination. And in my opinion, if you have done an autopsy and you have signed your name on that dotted line, you've signed your life away. And not only that, but now, tragically, every single family who have had an autopsy done by any of these 3 doctors have to question the results on the autopsy. And that is going to lead to absolute tragic ramifications, because there is going to be people who are going to be already feeling like their child, their loved one, their husband, their wife, their grandparents died in suspicious circumstances, and they may have been told, no, it's natural causes, and it may well be, but they're going to want to have their family member exhumed and have a second autopsy now based off the fact that these doctors have been paid off. These 3 men should be arrested, in my opinion, because if you sign on the dotted line of a report to say everything in that report is the truth, and you lie, and it's about an 11-year-old child, you deserve to be in prison. Not only that, but now, tragically, every single family who have had an autopsy done by any of these 3 doctors have to question the results on the autopsy. And that is going to lead to absolute tragic ramifications, because there is going to be people who are going to be already feeling like their child, their loved one, their husband, their wife, their grandparents died in suspicious circumstances, and they may have been told, no, it's natural causes, and it may well be, but they're going to want to have their family member exhumed and have a second autopsy now based off the fact that these doctors have been paid off. These 3 men should be arrested, in my opinion, because if you sign on the dotted line of a report to say everything in that report is the truth, and you lie, and it's about an 11-year-old child, you deserve to be in prison. Not only that, but now, tragically, every single family who have had an autopsy done by any of these 3 doctors have to question the results on the autopsy. And that is going to lead to absolute tragic ramifications, because there is going to be people who are going to be already feeling like their child, their loved one, their husband, their wife, their grandparents died in suspicious circumstances, and they may have been told, no, it's natural causes, and it may well be, but they're going to want to have their family member exhumed and have a second autopsy now based off the fact that these doctors have been paid off. These 3 men should be arrested, in my opinion, because if you sign on the dotted line of a report to say everything in that report is the truth, and you lie, and it's about an 11-year-old child, you deserve to be in prison.
Now, by the very mere fact that Haley has what seems to be a scanned copy of the actual first autopsy report, this should be a strong clue that Haley is communicating with the key people in this family, right? Okay. So let's not question that, because before you come for her and go, well, how she get it and whatever, you are already told that it has to be done through the courts. Clearly, steps have been made behind the scenes to get us to this point where we can now see the signature document. Now, I'm going to get into this whole thing about the grandmother. You know what I don't like about this part of the case so far is that this narrative is giving the people who are the masterminds, it's giving them a pass. Yes, I'm going to say it. Now, it is not impossible that the grandmother nor the cousin, which is Stefan, it's not impossible that they're involved somehow. It's not. We have seen more sinister things happen in true life crime out here. However, they would not have been able to allegedly carry out the crime had there not been a portal for the crime to take place. In other words, the facilities for the crime taking place would have had to have pre-existed in order for them to know that the Doubleday Hotel was the spot to get this to happen. Now, a key thing that was said by Angie in her recent interview on YouTube was the fact that the grandmother was seen spending lots and lots of money, that she had acquired a new property, and she further explained that the rent for that property was quite high. And clearly what they're describing is a sudden hike in income that they're observing with the grandmother. Now, it's either that the grandmother came into some insurance money, as was indicated to by Haley, or she has been paid off and she is now lavishing in the fruits of her efforts. Either way you take it, it is clear that this is now being perceived by the family members as new money. And there's a big question hanging over the grandmother's head as to where did these finances come from? How was she able to be buying $1 million worth of furniture at Courts, allegedly? How is she now able to afford the rent for this size of property, as alluded to by Angie, the relative of Sir Brian? These are all very good questions, and whether or not we like to hear this part of the narrative, it's important that you recognize that there needs to be established motive before anyone can point a direct finger at somebody. So I can see that people are trying to search around for a motive. But like I said, and I'm going to re-emphasize, regardless of whatever involvement, whatever payoff or money that exchanged hands, there has to be a source. There has to be somebody who has given that go-ahead, who has paid that money out, who has provided the space for the action to take place. And this is why I am concerned about how this is now developing, because we're getting embroiled in family feud. We're getting embroiled in pointing a finger at the lesser suspect rather than getting to the meat of the matter. Who has, if anybody, paid off this grandmother? Who has, if anybody, provided the venue for the crime to take place? Who is behind the murder of this little girl? It's important that we focus on that to get to the real roots of the crime, and anybody else that gets implicated as a result will then follow suit with justice. Anyway, let's take a look at one of the first videos of the grandmother expressing what took place with Adriana. And we're going to look out for things like body language, facial expression, and we're going to pay close attention to the things that she has said.
When your family, you and your family members came in here, how much of you guys came in here?
About 20.
20?
Yeah, we was the plentiest in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a process there when you go in, they put on a band, they recognize you? How does it work? Do you pay to go in?
Well, honestly, the first time I come here, they study. And we come in, and then they said only to go in the pool, you have to pay for going in the pool. Okay, 500 for children and 1,000 for adults.
Grandmother speak about what happened the day Adriana's disappeared.
Without the band, you can't go in the water. So she took her brother and sister with her, with my big granddaughter.
So what I'm looking for here are consistencies or inconsistencies between two different interviews that the grandmother did. Okay? So the first one was the initial interview that was on the scene with Guyanese Critic. The second one was done with a news station. It was subsequent to the event. Now, I am listening very carefully for details between the two that may have been misrepresented or falsified, or that may have continuously been repeated. Now, what I picked up is she's making it very clear that each of the grandchildren that she was with, a total of 3, cost her $500 each, plus herself as the adult, $1,000. So for the 3 grandchildren, that's $1,500. I'm not sure how much it would have cost her as the adult. Now let's refer to the aunt's post, where she basically said that the pool at Parika would have cost the grandmother $3,000. So the grandmother said, hence the reason why she chose the double day hotel. She claims that this is a lie. Now, I'm not certain which pool it was that they're referring to in Parika, but I did a little research in terms of the cost of pools in Parika to do a comparison. In 2004, this particular hotel, which is located in Parika, which is called the Rose and Resort, they presented a price update in August 2023 that claimed that the entrance fee was $1,000 per adult, kids 10 years and up, and $500 kids years to 3 years old. So I would imagine, I don't know what that would have been, probably above the age of 2. It would have been $500. So that's a little bit confusing because it then says free for 2 years and under. So, what do you mean by that? But anyway, so we are looking at $500 for kids who are probably 3 to 9 years, and then 10 years up, it's $1,000. I would imagine that makes more sense. Now, it then charges for extras like bumper cars, merry-go-round, all these little things that they apparently have at the Roseanne Resort. Now, I'm assuming that this is as the next popular place to go to in Parika, that this would have been the alternate venue. And if the price in 2023 is claiming that it's $1,000 per adult and $500 per child, then certainly in 2025, it cannot be the same price. We can assume by the rate of inflation, things going up, etc., post-COVID prices going up, people making up for money they lost, that it would go up considerably. And it's not unreasonable to imagine that possibly adults are now $3,000 per person. But I don't know how much that would have cost for the children, or possibly the total for the children may have doubled. So instead of $500, it's now $1,000 per child. So it's not an unreasonable assumption if Roseanne Resort is where we're talking about in Parika. So to say that I can find evidence of the grandmother necessarily lying, I really can't. I did do another search and other places came up and the prices were greater than $1,000. So I cannot find evidence of the cost. It would be interesting to know exactly what cost the aunt managed to determine, why it is that she knew that this $3,000 mark was off, before I come to a firm conclusion on that. I'm only going on what I've researched and what I can see.
What transpired is that we came here about 20 past 1. And Rancher and them we come to bring them out to bed and so on. And when they come and went and changed their clothes. When they change the clothes, they come back and give them money to buy the pan. Caroline, you get on the pan, you can't win the food. So they went. And about 20 to 2, the brother and the sister come and say, Grandma, I'm hungry. And I say, okay, yeah, sit, I can give you a food. So some man, Gabriel, Ella, go and call your big sister. Call Adriana to get some food. So when she get up now, when she goes, she said, Granny, Adriana is not in the pool. So at that time, I dropped everything I was doing. And we end up, the whole siblings, everybody end up looking, searching, and we ain't finding no thing.
So when I went there and I buy the band, I put on the 2 little one band and the 2 big granddaughter, Adriana and Kaya was there. So Kaya said, Mommy, they ask me my age and I tell them I'm 14. And I ask Adriana her age and Adriana says she's 11. Right? So the boy said, okay. It was an Amerindian looking boy, like. The boy said, okay. And they walk back, they come back to my granny, we band. I said, okay, what y'all going to do first? Y'all going to bed? Then say, yeah. They was excited to go in the pool. So they went down to the pool, I stand up and I watch them. All these things didn't reach 1:30 yet. Okay. Within 1 to 1:30, all of these happened. Mm-hmm. Yeah, within these. And I watched the 3 of them when Adriana go in the pool, she go right by the step car and she stand up in the car and she brace the pool and she take she two hand and she rake back like. So say them was bathing and I turn away and I was like, gonna get some food and eat. So in the height, I take out the food, I throw out some juice and I go to sit down to eat and my grandson come see it. So it's a grandma, I hungry. I say, okay, babe, sit in this chair. I get her from the chair and I put it in. So as I taking out the food, Gabriella come on the other side. Granny, I hungry too. I said, okay, you know what? Go and call Adriana. So the three are going to eat one time. She said, she walk like, we was here, the pool was there. So she make 2 steps. Granny, I didn't see Adriana in the pool.
So you didn't see when she got up?
No. Granny, I didn't see Adriana in the pool. Then Sayed said to me, Granny, she'd come out of the pool and she was standing on the other side. Okay. And she was watching me, but I ducked down and when I raised up, I didn't see she back. So I said, she got to the washroom. My daughter run to the washroom. We didn't hesitate on nothing, like, you know, give it time or for calculate, like, this is something I know she wouldn't do. That is why we start looking at the same moment.
And that's why you thought she went to the washroom?
Yeah, and we went, my daughter went to check, Mommy, she's not here. Mommy, everybody get up and we start searching and calling for she.
Were they?
So I'm listening closely to the timings that were mentioned. She speaks about between 1:20 to 1 to 1:30. So far in both interviews, the estimation, it runs correctly and consistently. There has been no change in the timings. She's spoken again about the bands and the fact that the children were asked about the bands and that the bands were placed on the arms of the children. It's clear to me that they would have been asking the age because possibly one of the children looked a little bit older than a minor and maybe charged extra. So this was about verification of age as far as I am assuming. I know that there are some conspiracy theories about the fact that deliberate colors were placed on the bands, but I am not sure what color band the other children had to arrive at this conclusion. Now, in the first interview, she speaks about at 20 to 2, 2 of the grandchildren came and said that they're hungry. Now, remember, this is the initial interview. It is on the scene. There's a lot going on. You can hear Adriana's mother crying in the background. The grandmother is making it clear that 2 children approached her for food. When she goes to the second interview where it's calmer, she's able to collect her memory, remember more detail. She is speaking about these 2, but in chronological order. First, the little boy, then the girl. The younger girl came and asked for food. So she's putting it in the order that they arrived at her, but it's still consistent in that 2 grandchildren came and asked for food. In the first interview, she also makes it clear that this little girl went to go and call Adriana to come and have something to eat so that all 3 of them could eat together. She subsequently says this in the second interview. So those things are also consistent. Now, what was omitted in the first interview was when she recalled that, is it Seth or Seth? Actually made a statement where he said he was in the pool, dipped down in the water, looked up back, and he saw that she was missing after she had actually exited the pool. So he was the one who alerted to the grandmother that Adriana had actually exited the pool, according to her second interview. And he was the one who made her aware that Adriana may have gone somewhere within the vicinity of the pool and may not be in the water. This was omitted in the first interview, but became apparent in the second. She then said that collectively they all immediately responded, looking and searching for Adriana. Now, according to Amika's allegations, she said that she told, as in the grandmother, told her grandchildren to tell the police that they do not know anything and did not see anything. Now, if
To
this
me,
allegation
she
is
is
true,
still in the
clearly in the interview, this dispels this notion
about
because in the
2:30,
second
I
interview,
went
she
over the road and I
specifically
tell
calls
my
him
husband,
to
I
boy
said, take me to the
who
station.
claimed
Come
he
in
saw
here and
when
we went to the
Adriana
station.
exited the
The
pool.
police
He went
did
down
come
under the
back
water,
with us,
came
they
back up,
searched,
Adriana
but
was
them only
nowhere to be
searched
found.
this
So
part of the
that
building.
child
Then they
is a
searched the
witness.
other part.
We'll keep listening.
Other people utilizing the pool at the time?
Yes, it had a man, an Indian man, a fat man. He was sitting there. His family them was in the pool. It had another lady and a little boy to the next to the table with us. On the other side to the roadside, my husband, my niece's husband, them was sitting there. We sit around the pool, but them boys left and go and sit one side from we. My sister was sitting. Everybody was sitting facing the pool. Nobody didn't like take them eye off of the pool, but you know, like.
Nobody saw her when she got up?
No, this is the thing that really make I know that my granddad didn't come out to there. Because like I start getting these feelings and I said to my husband, no. First of all, I went to the receptionist.
Okay.
I said, I miss my granddaughter. That was like 1:45. I said, man, I miss my granddaughter and I ain't finding she. Can't you run your camera that I could see which entrance she gone? She said, we have camera, but I don't know if it's working.
Okay.
I went back to the guy that's selling in the bar. He said, yes, we have camera, but I don't know if it's working. I didn't ask them nothing more. I didn't say nothing more. I went out on the main road and I look left, I look right, I walk, I peep, I walk. I even called my daughter and I say, how far?
I miss you.
I call her, miss you like 2:10, 2:15.
To let her know that
Yes.
Adriana was missing.
I didn't get on to she. I called my son, I didn't get on to he. I called my brother because he's living here. I said, go and see, because Sir Brian was by me the morning and he said, my mother, my head hurt and my bad, I didn't know what's going on. I said, man, I got a tablet to sell for headache. You want to get it for you? I got to go and buy it. He said, no, I'm going to go home and drink 2 Panadol. So I know he went home. Tell my brother going to wake you up. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't know. Sir Brian, he said, Carol, yes, what happened? I said, my son, I can't find your daughter. He said, no, my mother, you can't. I come in. By the time I miss your call, I miss the call. I said, I say, I'm finding Adriana. I miss to say one. She said, she said, I come in. In any case, I didn't hesitate no time. I come out and I watch for neighbors with camera. I see neighbors,
But did you
I
call
go.
the police before approaching the neighbors?
No, I didn't call the police then. About minutes to 3, I tell my husband, come, let we go into the station in Tushin.
Talk to the management of the hotel.
No, I know who is the man, but the son, people point out to say, look, he's there. All he come and push hand in his pocket, and he say, yeah, I'll check the pool. As soon as he said, check the pool, I had enough civilians, everybody jumped in the pool, which it had a couple stranger them also jumping and help.
So she's not in the pool?
She's not in the pool. That for sure, she's not in the pool. That is for sure, she's not in there.
So I've deliberately reversed the order of the 2 interviews. I've placed the second interview first, purely because it has some crucial information that kind of follows on to what she said in the first interview. If you notice, in the second interview, she gave details about whom she approached as soon as she found out that the child was missing. She went to the reception, she said. She spoke to the staff. She went to the bartender. She spoke to the staff there. And, you know, both of which made reference to the fact that the cameras may not be working. Now, interestingly, in the first interview, the only member of staff that she mentions is the actual son of the manager. She claims that she does not know who the manager is. Yet we know in subsequent alleged commentary from the Doubleday owner. He says that the grandmother, everything at the grandmother, like say him and the grandmother communicate. But that could be after the fact, right? So we're still giving benefit of the doubt. She's claiming that she went to the manager in response to a question asked by Guyanese Critic. Guyanese Critic did not actually say, who did you speak to at the hotel? He specifically asked about the manager, and her connection was with the son of the manager, claiming she doesn't know the manager of the hotel. And that this manager told her to search the pool. Now, you would have thought that in the second interview, when she's a lot more detailed, a lot more clear in her thoughts and the order of things taking place, she would have mentioned the significant search that took place. Instead, she made it look like the only feedback from the hotel she got was about the cameras and not about going into the pool to actually search. So this part was a little bit of a discrepancy, but it could be as a result of the leading questions that she was asked. Let's keep listening. Now let's speak to the comments that were made once again by the aunt of Adriana, where she said that she went looking for Adriana first, when in fact it was Papi who first got up to look for my niece. And she turned and asked him, "Where you going? Sit down." But he insisted, and that was how the search started. Now, I am not certain if Papi is a nickname for another child, if that was a completely different child. That part is not clear to me. But what I'm going to do is compare this comment with the facts that we've just picked up in the previous recordings. Clearly, the grandmother said that the person who went off to first look for Adriana was the little girl. This little girl, I believe her name was Gabrielle, went to the edge of the pool and said she did not see Adriana. And then that was followed by a comment by the little boy who said she came out of the pool and then she went missing. He didn't know where she turned. Now, it's clear to me that whoever was sent out first to look for the niece was a child. And when the grandmother said that she responded immediately and they all started looking, that implies to me that it was a collective reference and not an individual reference. I have not heard in these two interviews where the grandmother said she went to look first. Now, I don't know what kind of personal discussions were had between the grandmother and the family off air. I can't comment on that. I can only comment on what was stated in the two interviews. And in both interviews, she never specified if a particular family member instigated the search, etc. She made it clear that they all got up and got busy. She even spoke about strangers jumping into the pool to go and have a look. She spoke about that. But that's coming. So I want you to continue to listen as we try to analyze this.
So I done change my clothes to go in, and my grandchildren, them, most of them they done in the pool. Might as well she was in the pool. The only one didn't go in the pool is my big grandma, she didn't go in the pool at that time. So when she go in the pool, she said she didn't see Adriana in the pool. Because I asked her, I said, Kaya, when you go in the pool, did you see Adriana in the pool? She said, no, ma'am. I said, okay, and we end up we get information that she was somewhere in Masjid Street. We went with
Where you get this information from?
the police.
Tell you that you're in Masjid Street.
Somewhere there, the car where them pick up down the tree.
So the police is claiming that they are aware that she was picked up by a specific car,
Yes.
and they're tracing where the car is going.
Yes.
So when I got onto her and she told me, I said, I'm coming because it's strange because Adriana won't leave to go nowhere without nobody knowing where I'm going here or going there. And I left because I work at Popeyes, I'm a supervisor there. And I left and I came over. And when I got there, I saw a couple of my family friends there and we looking, they say that by then the CID was there, right?
Yeah, when you come,
CID
yeah.
by the name of Reese was there with a police officer, and he said they searched the building. I said, yeah, search the building and you didn't find her? He said no. And my small daughter and son was sitting and this is her slippers, they had her slippers. So I said, my child is right in there. I said, she wouldn't leave this place, she's right in there. He said, by then he hesitated, then he said, they get footage that is showing that she came out and she left in a vehicle. I said, what?
And this was at what time they told you that?
There's like after 3.
Yeah.
After 3 o'clock.
After 3, right? I said, what? He said, yes. In any case, she had already gotten on to the neighbor, but the neighbor didn't know how to
Operate.
the camera, so we had to wait on our daughter to come home. It was like after 6, right? Anyway, we wait, but before all of this, they said, my husband get into the police vehicle, and me along with my sister and her, we went behind because they say that they tracked this vehicle, the vehicle going to Firefight.
No, they say there's somewhere in Masjid Street.
Somewhere in there, because we drive through. But when
yeah.
I was driving through there, they was just looking for other people to pick up to take to the station, right? In any case, by the time that we end up telling CI, but while it's going, they're doing their own arrest, different arrests. And when we got there, then they said that they track the vehicle, it's going to Parfit, and they have patrol out there. We go back to the station. Get back to the station, the same thing you keep hearing. We reach back to the hotel. When we reach back there, by then we got over the neighbor. We got access to the camera. The footage run. You see when they reached there. You see when she went over there to talk with the neighbor to ask everything. You ain't see no color for us. They say it was a black ram. I forget the number, plate number, some PSS something. Then they changed from a black ram to a red ram with some black top on it or some of that, right? Anyway, they finish the camera run. Reese run the camera must be about up to 28 minutes after 9. He come out. And he was like,
So Reese is the police officer.
Reese is a CID that's from Tushin Outpost.
And he saw the surveillance footage as well.
He saw that, right? Along with another officer that he had with him. And he came out and he said he got information on this person. He got the person address, but the person is renting this vehicle. And he got a picture of the person, and he's going to go to the center and look at the footage that he's telling me that he saw my child came out and went into this car. And then he's going to go to Parfit. So we even asked him, we said, we can't come with you. I said, we won't come out of the vehicle, but can we come with you? He said, no. So I said, but you run this camera here and you saw nothing of what you're saying that is on that camera. I said, can't we go over there? Can you shut down the building so we can search properly? Because I said, I don't believe that my child left that building, right? He said, you want me to be left without a job? I can't do that. You want me to be left without a job? That's what he said to me. I said, okay. He left and he went. I never saw him back. I don't know if he was ever there back again or what, but I never saw him back.
So at this point of both interviews, you can clearly hear the reference to when the police call was made, what took place, the fact that the grandmother was searching, she looked at neighbors' footage, etc. You're hearing even more detail in the second interview about what resulted from the search on the cameras. So clearly in the first interview, this had already taken place, where she's talking about the fact that they went searching for the footage from the neighbor. And it had gotten to the point where both the mother and the grandmother had looked at the footage, and they didn't really get much from that. We are hearing about the police, the misinformation, and so on. Both are confirming each other's stories. Now, I'm going to draw your attention to the body language of the grandmother to this point of the interview, particularly for the second interview. In the second interview, she appears a lot more emotional. Now, we can argue that psychologically to say by this time reality has hit and her niece is definitely no more. Whereas in the first interview, it is clear that it's fresh, it's possibly a shock to the system. Her mind is calibrating what's taking place. There's a lot going on around her. She's trying to keep it together. But in the second interview, she's wearing shades. We're not seeing the eyes. We don't know if tears are there. I can't see any tears running down the face. I don't know if these are just, dramatics for the camera or if she's genuinely breaking down. That's not very clear because she's wearing shades. Now, I don't know if the wearing of the shades is to protect her image. She doesn't like crying on camera or whatever. Some people are embarrassed about crying. Or is it to deceive the public into making the public think that she's crying when in fact there are no tears there? You see, there are questions that can go either way. However, in terms of focusing on the facts of these two parts, we can determine that the information presented in the first interview, sans the mother, is the same information that is confirmed with the mother present. Nothing there sounds like a discrepancy. They all follow through factually and chronologically.
And then they get a call that they can't reach the party. So, and it was early, we could reach there, they clean. We could reach there to end up go with them because we didn't quarreling or making a scene, we walking with the police. But at this hour, they're asking me to leave. Where we leaving to go, we ain't getting no answer. And my heart taking me back to there. But what more we gonna do? We ain't know what more to do. They're asking me to leave here. We can't leave here because we ain't know what could happen later.
Okay.
We ain't know what could happen.
So because of the fact that you don't have clarity, you guys are staying here for your granddaughter?
Yes.
All right.
All right, so when I got there, I think it was just after 3, and we initially there were people outside, neighbors that are like family, all right? So we were outside, and then we went inside to ask the staff. There were 3 staff members inside a room to ask if they had seen her. They laughed at us. The girl was laughing and bowing their heads and, just carrying on. So we said, you can't do that. You can't laugh. This is a serious matter. This is an 11-year-old child that has gone missing and you're laughing. By then, the bowler, the owner's son, came in and he saw me with my phone because I have a video of that. And he's like, you can't video here, you can't video here. I said, I'm going to video right here because this is an 11-year-old child that has gone missing. You can't tell me what to do. By then, he was on his phone calling persons. Eventually, what happened is that some police officers, plainclothes, came. They spoke with him and not with us at first. No, they didn't even talk with us. They didn't speak to us at all. Come to think of it, they didn't speak with us. They went to him, they talked with him, and he never came to us. We were standing like we're over the road there, just at the edge of the road. He was over this side. He was up and down pacing on his phone, and he eventually told a young man from Younge came up to him, gave him a pound and said, that girl isn't here. The girl left here, she's not here, right? Never spoke. What happened after is that all of these police officers that were there, they protected him. None of them came to us, say sorry about this, this is crazy. We begged them to shut the hotel down so that we can search. Nobody. In fact, they were like threatening us. We have to move from there, move away from there. This is a man's business place and all of that. During all of this time, there were patrons coming into this hotel. There were persons still swimming in that pool. There were people by the pool side. There were people swimming in the pool, the patrons. And so it was business as usual. It was as if nothing had happened or was happening, I should say, there.
Why the family insisted? At one point, the police told you guys to go home. We're investigating this matter.
All right, so let me tell you direct. Mr. Mandal, the commander, came. And he said, all right, we're going to allow you to search, but we're going to allow 2 family members to search. So we said, no, not 2. Two persons are not enough to search this big place. And then he said, okay, we're going to allow 5 persons to search. But we have a video here showing that this is the girl. Mandal told me. We have a video here. He has his phone in his hand. We have a video here showing that the girl left. So I said, show us the video. Up to now, Mandal never showed us that video, but was insisting that we clear the road and that we go home because he has a video on his phone showing that she left.
So once again, I'm listening for any discrepancies, any inconsistencies between the stories that were told by the grandmother and the rest of the family. Now enters Amika. She is clearly speaking about what took place in their interaction with the police. She's saying that there is a video footage that was alleged by the police that they to date have not had any access to at all. There was this talk about a red and black vehicle with a gentleman in it that Adriana was said to have gone off in. And they were supposed to be searching for this vehicle. They were denied access to the police vehicle to go along for the search, despite telling them that they were going to stay in the car. Now, the grandmother also made reference to footage that the police claimed that they had that stated that Adriana had gone off in a car. So both have had similar stories that they are recounting about their interaction with the police. So far, it runs true for both sides of the parties, and I hear no discrepancies between the aunt or the grandmother. Let's keep listening, because now we're going to hear the account of the search in the pool.
All right, great. All right.
That was the first thing we did. Everybody jumped in the pool and feel one set at 4 of them. 2 come like this and 2 come on. It had a man training some children there. And the man put the children on the side and he helped us. And look and look and look and feel. And the owner even come and say, feel behind the stairs like where you just go down on. Feel behind there. They check again.
Talk to the management of the hotel.
No. I know who is the man. But the son, people point out to say, look, he's there. And he come and push your hand in the carpet and he say, yeah, I'll check the pool.
Adriana was not in the pool. She was not in the pool till they put her in the pool.
And now we have one major discrepancy. I deliberately replayed an earlier clip from the very first interview. I hope you are listening very carefully. In that first interview, she said, I ain't know the manager or the management of the hotel, but the son of the owner was the one she communicated with. She made that very clear. In the second interview, she said the owner was the one who told her to go searching in the pool, to put her hands here, there, everywhere. People were in the pool searching, etc. So at first she said she didn't know who the management was, and it was the son, and people had pointed out the son. Now she's saying she spoke directly with the owner of the Doubleday Hotel. Remember, later we were told that the owner claimed that he was not around, right? Until after he found out that a child was missing. So who is it that the grandmother spoke to who indicated that she should search the pool? Is it the son of the owner or the owner himself? This is so far the biggest discrepancy that I have found between the things that were said in both interviews. There seems to be some gray area around the communication between the grandmother and the management of the hotel and who indicated the first search. Subsequently, we also heard that the grandmother was the one who claimed that Adriana could swim, and then the search was called off as a result of this. So which is it? Was there a search conducted with these multiple people in the pool, including somebody who trained children? Was it just the police who searched? Who searched at all, if anybody? And I'm not speaking about any subsequent, searches that may have taken place when the mob came down. I'm talking about in these the initial phase of the search. Who was it that went in the pool first searching for this little girl? Who gave the instruction to search first? Was it the son or was it the owner of the Doubleday Hotel? Let's keep listening.
And so the night was a search also conducted in the pool, around the pool, in other sections of the hotel.
Yes. So I think Amisa can speak about the name of the officer that came and eventually said, let's search.
right?
That was one of the.
I can't remember his name.
That was Harris.
Harris, yeah.
Harris came like around 12, 11 something, just before 12, and he shut down the place. What Mr. Reese could have done earlier, he came and he did. And he said the footage that y'all hearing about, it's a misinformation. He said there is no footage, your child is right in here.
An officer told you that?
Yes, he said that. He said this is a misinformation, and he said we're going to search. And he allowed us to go in, but still we couldn't have go in, like, you know, a whole set. It was just me, my sister, and a friend. With 4, I suggest CID officers, along with son and a boy that works there with him, that pull gun on my brother, right? In any case, we went wrong the pool, we're walking right there, all the rooms, nothing. But still within me, I keep saying, I even told son, I said, son, we's villagers, you know me. I said, just give me my daughter, My baby, you went up there.
So at this point of this interview, I am looking at the body language of the grandmother in comparison to the body language of the sister, Amika. Now at this point, the mother breaks down quite badly, unable to contain herself. The grandmother, on the other hand, is sitting there quite stoic, meaning absent of emotions, visibly. Doesn't mean that inside she isn't falling apart, but there's nothing going on in terms of her facial expression. She carries a very stern expression. And she's rocking herself to and fro. Look carefully. She's rocking herself to and fro, which psychologically is a movement of self-comfort. It's making oneself feel better, right? When you see somebody rocking in distress, that's almost something from when we were children and babies and our mothers rock us to and fro when we were upset as children, trying to comfort us and calm us down. She's trying to calm herself. That implies that there is some emotional distress, but the emotional distress is internal. It's not directed towards the mother, whose moment it is at the moment to break down. The sister instinctively goes to protect her sister's emotions, to maintain some equilibrium, to give her comfort. The grandmother offers no comfort at all, not even a rub on the shoulder or a pat on the back, something to show that she's feeling her pain and that she's feeling some kind of guilt or remorse. But then again, people express things in different ways, and I could be overreading. Let me know what you think in the comments. It's just something that I picked up, because you would think that the natural thing to do would be to reach out, to give her some kind of embrace. But perhaps her own guilt at being the one who was the guardian and the one who should have been looking after Adriana is preventing her from reaching out to the mother for fear of rejection or some kind of anger directed towards her. It's apparent, though, that there's a tension in this family from this video and just the interaction between them. Although they're sat as a trio, it's clearly 2 against 1 or 1 against 2.
9:30.
9:30, her body was discovered.
That was when they said to us, they tell me if I could get a clothes that she recently wear, and they getting some dogs to come down. I said, yes, I have she clothes that she change when she go there. So I had to come home, get the clothes and come back. By the time I reach back, like 10 or 15 minutes after, then somebody say, look, somebody throw something in the pool and they run. By the time that the crowd started to run, well, remember they locked the door, you can't get the entrance in. So the guys them jump between the fence, and the guys them broke the fence and they run in. By the time I left stand up, I couldn't move. I see my son run and he jump. When he jump overboard, then I said, Yes, Adriana, that is she the truth. So whoever did it, I don't know. My son picked you up and put you down up top, and he hold she and started to holler. I didn't go in the building back. I wait when I come out and I put you down on the road. The aunt went and take off the cloth from your face. So I see my granddad's face. Oh, God. Oh. My granddad, a beautiful face. What a do to it.
Amity, if you could come in at this stage, were you able to see her body and were there marks of violence?
All right, so
Amika, sorry.
before I answer that, I just want to get back and really reiterate that nobody was in that pool. Early in the morning, I called my cousin and I told her to go there and check. She was there. She went.
I'd like to have justice for my granddaughter. I need this police officer. If they send the right set of police officer, we could have been get help. I could have been get my granddaughter out of there alive. I know she was in there. I know she never leave the building. I know that they had her somewhere, but I didn't get in to know directly the spot. And if these police that come for us, Mr. Allen and the crew, and we turned the place upside down, we could have find her. And we would have her alive today. But they didn't do their job. We need justice. And whatever we got to do, we got to do. We need justice.
Now, what was interesting about these two parts of this interview was the grandmother's reaction. If you notice that she increasingly becomes more distressed, she cries out more, but once again, I can still see that distinct gap between herself and Amicia. It is clear to me that even when she's expressing her grief, they seem a little bit aloof, separated from the grandmother's pain and distress. And that is a reasonable response. If you can imagine, you sent your child with this lady and this has happened and you found out that your child is no more. There is going to be a build-up of resentment, a build-up of anger towards the grandmother. And even the grandmother should expect it, to be honest, because she was in her care. I hear overwhelming guilt. She keeps repeating she was the one who took her there, and now look at the results, and she has to live with that. Now, we're gonna draw conclusions based on allegations now. The fact that it was said that the grandmother was out drinking rum, alcohol could be the choice in terms of suppressing her emotions and dealing with her grief. So I'm not going to judge that too harshly. But then there were allegations made by Angie with regards to this $1 million spend in courts, getting all this furniture and this new property where the rent is quite high. This kind of inquiry about where this new money came from. How is it that all of a sudden the grandmother is living lavishly? It has left things a little bit strange with regards to the source of the grandmother's income. Where is she getting the money from? Was there insurance placed on her grandchild that she has got access to? Now, if Guyana is anything like Jamaica, it takes ages to make a claim and get a payment. So I just think that it would be kind of similar. And I don't think that she would have received a payout of a huge amount so quickly. That would be rather odd. If anything, extremely efficient. And you know how it is in third world countries. Everything is red tape. Everything take long. It take long, right? So me kind of don't think say no insurance money there, so But Haley Comet did allude to the fact that it may have been an insurance related payout. In addition to this, there is also the question about whether or not the grandmother received financial compensation for Adriana. This is a whole other ball game, when it comes to proving this. We're talking about allegations that lead to something like child trafficking and kidnapping and sacrifice and deeply dark ritualistic practices here. And while these things are not impossible, they need, to me, a bit more evidence before I can start to discuss that. I'm very wary of saying things that I haven't got hardcore facts about. And until those things manifest, I'm not going to go down that route. There is, however, one thing that the grandmother said that kind of made me question something, and this is with regards to Adriana's clothing. She did say as well that she never left the venue until they had found the body, etc. She stayed there. She never ate. She did go to the hospital. She stayed with the family essentially while the whole ordeal was taking place. But she only left when she went to go and fetch the clothing that they needed for the sniffer dogs. So I'm assuming that the clothes were taken back with other relatives as opposed to being left on site where she said she never left the family while they were searching. That somebody else took the clothes back to the house and she had to then go and fetch them for the sniffer dogs to search for Adriana. So that's the part where I'm kind of questioning who took the clothes there, because clearly she was at the pool. She changed to get into the pool. So those clothing should have been present on the site and with the family. But it's not impossible to imagine that somebody else took the clothes back along with everybody else when they left while things were taking place. Because obviously when there's a whole protest and things are getting a bit heated, they would want to take the rest of the children away from that site, right? Now, the final part of this analysis is when the president turns up at this venue and he addresses the family. I want you to look at how animated the grandmother becomes.
I just shut down this building. There's nothing nobody could do for us now. We need justice. And we need the right thing. We need justice and we need the right thing to do. We don't want no family, nobody corrupt. Nobody. We need the right thing, God. My heart was leading me in that building not to move, and I didn't move from since when.
So indeed, in the presence of the president, she becomes extremely animated. She's demanding justice. She is outwardly crying out, saying that she needs the right thing to be done. The mother continues to be inconsolable, just leaning on her sister for strength. Now, what I'm seeing here could be read in two ways. It's either that the grandmother is an extremely fantastic actress and she knows how to switch on the performance for the right audience, or she sees the president as her last hope, in order to bring justice to the case. I do find that I find it very strange about the gag order on the 14-year-old. The 14-year-old who subsequently went into the pool later on their trip, who said that she did not see Adriana in the pool. This 14-year-old, why was a gag order placed on this child? And obviously the whole questions about the sudden hike in income for the grandmother and all the expenditure and the things that she's been seen doing, drinking and stuff like that. What exactly is it that we're missing about the grandmother? Is it a state of grief, a last shot at life, seeing that she may not have much left, so she wants to spend whatever money she has to give comfort to her family? What is it that has resulted in this sudden change of lifestyle? Has she been paid off by somebody to keep silent about particular things? Is it possible that there was negligence on the part of the grandmother and she would rather not take any more blame, so she is quick to point a finger at other people. She was the one who stated that the child was not in the pool, according to the little boy, and was then missing from the side of the pool, which implies somebody on the outside would have taken Adriana. She was the first person to present this information and lead them into searching on the outside. She then was emphatic that Adriana was not in the pool when she then turned up in the pool. Was she trying to divert people away from searching in the pool because she was aware that something was going on in the pool? As much as people are saying that they searched, we do know of cases where people have searched in pools only to have missed that the body was actually there. Is it possible that Adriana got into some kind of difficulty and it was under her care and she doesn't want to take on the accountability, end up in prison for her negligence, so she is pointing a finger at other people? I'm giving all the practical scenarios. Is it that she sacrificed her grandchild for financial gain, and that's where this boost in income is coming from? There are many questions around the grandmother. Or could she just have been an innocent individual under terrible circumstances with poor outcomes? Is it that she just did not see what happened to Adriana and therefore she's above blame, but incapable of communicating that or having her voice heard because there is a rift in that family that pre-existed what has taken place with Adriana? I noticed that she mentioned that her grandkids used to come around on the weekends and visit. And this is why I'm finding this whole thing very strange, that the grandchildren were still allowed, including Adriana, to be around her when there was a suspicion, according to Angie, that the children were not being treated equally and that there's resentment towards the mother. There is this saying that if you don't like the mother, you're not going to like the child. So why would that child be facilitated around the grandmother if there was a suspicion that Adriana was being treated differently? Why was that facilitated? Who insisted that this could have been done despite these grievances between family members? And finally, Sir Brian is so quiet in the defense of his mother. If the mother was above reproach, you would imagine the son of the mother would have come out and made it clear, listen, leave my mother alone. She's not capable of this. But he has never defended her. So that in itself tells us that there is something simmering beneath the surface here amongst these family members that's quite deep. Could it be to do with race? Is it because Adriana was a biracial child? Are the other children biracial? Is it that Adriana's appearances was more African Caribbean as opposed to Indo-Caribbean? What exactly would be the root of the issues between the grandmother and Adriana as alleged by Angie? Is it that the resentment towards the mother spilled over to the child? You can clearly see even from the body language of all the family members involved here that they don't get on. It's clear that they are not a tight unit, and that there is something there between them in terms of how they respond to each other during this time of grief. It's not a mutual comforting. It's kind of split between the two parts of the family. Anyway, we will continue to observe the case and to bring you any facts or information as it reveals itself. It is understandable that people will question this grandmother and be quite concerned about her intentions and what took place on that day. But we are going to try our best to be objective until we can no longer be objective, because the facts are staring us in the face and the evidence points directly to certain individuals. Anyway, thank you so much. If you have gotten to this part of Hard Talk with HDK, it's a long one, and you are still with me, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Do not forget to hit that bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Big up yourselves. This is your girl, Head Teacher K.